I'm Pauline Eveno. I created a company called XVIII, it means Shape Your Own Sound. So at XVIII, we help saxophonists and soon other musicians to in their sound identity research. So we make 3D printed custom saxophone mouthpieces, which are optimized acoustically and customized according to the sound the musician wants. Because what we think is that we want to give the musician the best tool ever to be able to do his own music. And for us, there is no like the best mouthpiece ever, doesn't exist. It's more like you need to find the right tool, the right mouthpiece for each musician, and it's always different because everyone is different. So I created the company with Maxime, with my co-founder. So we are two researchers in acoustics. We have made a PhD at XVIII, one of the most important research centers about music in the world. That's in Paris. So I have a PhD in acoustics. I worked a lot on the acoustics of wind instruments, so in order to understand how the sound is created in the instrument, the influence of the geometry of the instruments on the sound. I developed a software that was meant to help craftsmen to know the quality of the instruments before building it. So you can do the geometry and then calculate a lot of parameters to understand how the instrument will play. I also play flutes, some bass guitar and saxophone. And Maxime has a PhD in cognitive science, so he worked a lot on how musicians will describe the song, what kind of word they use to describe the song in the life. And he's a pianist and trumpet player. So why the mouthpiece? So we worked especially on the mouthpiece because so it's at the interface between the musician and the rest of the instrument. So it's really responsible for 80% of the sound of the instrument. So by changing the mouthpiece, we can really change everything about the instrument. And I have this small example. So that's a researcher in Sydney. So he plays with what we could call a clarinet flute and a flutinet. So it's the body of the clarinet with the head of the flute, and then it's the body of the flute with the mouthpiece of the clarinet. So here you see that it's really the mouthpiece that will shape the sound. We have two bodies that are cylindrical with holes, and all the timbre that is really representative of the instrument is made in the head of the flute and the mouthpiece of the clarinet. So the saxophone mouthpiece. So as I said, so it's the part of the instrument where the sound is created. So it's really important for the sound. And what's important for us is that it's really the internal geometry of the mouthpiece that will design the sound, because in wind instruments, so we have the air that vibrates inside the instruments, and if we have a material that is hard, so that the wave can reflect on it, so then the material doesn't really impact the sound. So we can have like a metal mouthpiece or a hard rubber mouthpiece or a plastic mouthpiece, and if the geometry is the same, then it will react the same. And for example, I have this small video. see that here in the video, we really, if you close your eyes, you hear the French horn. Well, it's really representative of that sound, because what we call a brassy sound, actually, it's not created by the brass of the instrument. It's created by the wave that are it's non-linear waves. So that happen in really small tubes. So tubes of a really small diameter that are really long. So then the non-linear waves are created inside the instrument, and that happens in the instrument that have no holes, that are small tubes, so like trumpet, French horn, trombone, and we can do the sound of the French horn with the plastic tube and the mouthpiece of the horn. So what's really important then, it's really the geometry of the bore that will determine the sound quality and the tone curve. So how to describe the sound? So we have like a lot of words that are used to describe sound. So you can see here is some bright, focus, warm, projection. There is really a lot. So what we have done is that we have done a lot of experiments with musicians. So first, we made a lot of different mouthpieces, and we made the musician try and just ask them to describe the sound and nothing else. So they use a lot of vocabulary, they did a lot of big sentences, and we wrote everything down. So for example, here the one musician says, this mouthpiece is far more bright than others. It's got some power too with brightness, but a little too focused for me. So with the sentence like that, we get the most important word like bright, powerful, focused, and we got all those words, and then we have to choose and what were the words that were more important. So then we had to ask the musician to put the words that were similar in the same place and to find the good word. And then we choose the words that were similar, and that's how we created some scales. So we had like several scales to describe the mouthpieces, and after that the musician could note all the mouthpieces in those scales. We also work on acoustical studies. So here it's the study of how the waves are moving inside the instruments. So what we do is we do simulation. So we do the simulation of the internal geometry, and then we put some pressure at the entrance, and we see in time how it will react. And then if we look and compare the different mouthpieces, we can take the spectrum of the pressure. So for example, we can compare and see if the mouthpiece will give, for example, a brighter sound. So we will see that we have more power in the higher frequencies than for other mouthpieces. And we also do measurements. So did you see a vacuum cleaner playing saxophone? So we have the vacuum cleaner that is pushing the air inside the instruments, and so what we do is we change the mouthpiece. So we have actually it's taking the air off, but it's doing the same. We are making the instrument, we are inverting the instrument because it's aspiring the air and not blowing inside, but it's the same reaction, so we can compare the mouthpieces like that. So here we have like one microphone inside the mouthpiece, and then we have a microphone outside. And with that, we can really compare the different geometry in order to understand the influence of the geometry on the sound and the playing characteristics of the instrument. Because by measuring the pressure inside, so we can still see the frequencies of the sound and see the differences. And we also see how the reed will vibrate on the mouthpiece, and for example see how much pressure you need to put on the mouthpiece to make it vibrate. So with that we can compare the different mouthpieces and understand why some mouthpieces are harder to blow than other ones. So with that, we have an infinity of geometries to compare, because we have a lot of different things where we can work. So like the facing length, like the size, all the shape of the chamber, the baffle, and with that, so we can compare, for example, the influence of the baffle. What we found is that so the shape of the baffle will impact clearly the power of the mouthpiece, the wideness and the brightness of the sound. So for example, if we take, so we have several different types of baffles, so that can be a straight baffle, a step baffle, or a circular baffle. So for the same baffle, for example, here it's a step baffle. So if we put the baffle higher, then it will make the mouthpiece more powerful and more focused. And the lower the baffle is, then the mouthpiece will be more resistant. For example, for the chamber, so then the size of the chamber will mostly impact the brightness also. So if we have a large chamber, we will have a dark sound. We have something that usually musicians call like a bigger sound. It's a large sound, and but then the mouthpiece is also more resistant. So then we can play on the changing the baffle and the side chamber to find the good right fit to get, for example, a dark sound but still with some power. And for example, here we have some samples. So we did the exact same mouthpiece, but we just changed the size of the chamber. So there was a small chamber and a big chamber, and then we make some musicians play the same notes on the two mouthpieces, and you will see that if we, so here that's what we call a spectrogram. So we see here it's the time, and here it's the frequency of the note, and the color represent the power of those notes. So if it's blue, it's low, and if it's yellow, it will be strong. So listen. So here we see that the size of the chamber impact the higher frequency, because here the color are more in the blue tone, and here it's more yellow. So that means that there is more power in the higher frequency than here, and that's why we hear something that is called the brightness of the sound, because the brightness is really linked to the higher frequencies. Also, we can work on the tip opening. So for the tip opening, usually it's good to find an adapted opening, because it's really the ease of playing of the musician that will be impacted by the tip opening. So if you find the right fit, it will be more ease of playing and more freedom for the musician. So usually the more open mouthpiece will have a larger sound, it will be less focused, less bright. It requires more energy to blow it, because yeah, you have the reed needs to vibrate, like have a larger course, so you need more energy. But then it's more flexible, because you can put more energy, so you can have like more power, but you can still play pianissimo also. Okay, so and then so with that we have like all a kind of different geometries that we can work on, and then we use the 3D printing, because we can, with that we're able to make a unique mouthpiece at each time. With the same machine we can do a different mouthpiece every time, so that's really interesting. If you want to have more information on the acoustics, we have a blog on our website. I can give you the link. So and we have we write a lot of articles. We try to keep it simple. I will take a question at the end if you want. So, how we work with the musician after all the studies is that with all the studies we've done on the acoustics and on the psychoacoustics, we design a questionnaire that the musician can answer, and from those answers we are able to design the most appropriate mouthpiece for getting the sound the musician wants. So then we use the 3D print to make the mouthpiece, and then we send it to the musician. After that, the musician has some time to try the mouthpiece, and if he feels that something needs to be improved, he can send us some feedbacks, and we will make a new mouthpiece that will be improved and send it back to him. So that's how we work with the musician, is really by creating step by step with the musician a mouthpiece that will really be a good fit for him and for the song he or she wants to play. Just some things about Silo. So we were created 2 years ago, and now we are customers in 20 different countries for now, and we work a lot with a lot of musicians. So not a lot of musicians from classical music, but we are hoping for new members of the family. So if you want to try and see how it works, that will be a great pleasure. But we work with a lot of musicians in all types of music, like Seun Kuti, that's the son of Fela in Afrobeat, or Daro Beruzi, who plays with Lucky Chops, is a really famous brass band in New York, Dana Stevens in jazz, James Harben who's playing with Mulatu Atskake. So a lot of players. And I have a small video with, yeah. So yeah, if you have questions, I'm here to answer. We have some time, so tell me. And if you want to try Mouthpieces, we're at the exhibition hall. Sorry, you have to leave the academy, and it's on the left. Yes.
So I could probably answer loads, but you mentioned the chamber size, the tip opening.
Yeah.
You didn't say anything about the curve, the facing. Have you investigated?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, we for now we didn't really have the time to investigate the influence of the curve. So we are mostly working on a perfect circular curve for now. But yeah, that's also a good part of investigation that we need to do.
And then that you did think about reeds. I guess that becomes more significant with the different reed profiles as well.
Yeah.
How to interact.
Yeah.
So what you talked about here will tell me how to compare two different mouthpieces.
Uh-huh.
Have one that's more dark or.
Yeah. So.
But in terms of how it actually sounds, it also depends on presumably the reed shape, because that gives different input harmonics into the mouthpiece and the airstream, I guess.
So what we do is when we compare the mouthpieces, yeah, we also try it with the same reed, especially with the artificial mouth. We work with reeds that are plastic reeds, so it's better for the repeatability, because the hygrometry doesn't really impact it. So usually we do that. We put some mark on the mouthpiece to be sure that the reed is every time in the same spot. So, but yeah, also the reed is also a really important thing to investigate. But there are other people that are working on that. But yeah, we focused mainly on the mouthpiece for now. Yes.
Are there different things you do with the facing, the baffle, and the chamber? Like, can you shape it so that my soft low notes will be better, or my loud high notes will be better, or is it just does it not matter what range or what dynamic?
Yeah, no, the range is important too. Usually, for example, the large chamber will really help you getting the lower notes more easily. And the small chambers, with the small chambers, we'll get more easily the higher notes. So yeah, then we usually what we do, so we have the questionnaire, and then the musician can really add some characteristics. Really, the more precise the musician is to describe what he really wants, then the more precise we can be on designing the mouthpieces. And the best part is really to try the first mouthpiece, give the feedbacks, and after that we're making a new one, and usually it's then it's perfect, because we really know how to fit it, because yeah, the same mouthpiece for a different musician will not will not behave the same, because everyone has like for example, the people that really like really bright sound, if we give them a mouthpiece that is dark, they will say, oh, it's really too dark. But the musician that really love dark sound, they will say, oh no, it's a little too bright. So then we have to do the right scaling. But the register is really important. For example, also on the length of the facing, usually with short facing, we are getting more easily the higher register too. So that's how we do it. We have to balance everything to be able to design the most appropriate mouthpiece. Yes.
I guess we all have slightly our mouths are not symmetrical.
Yeah.
Do you think there's in the future might be possible to measure someone's mouth and make a mouthpiece which is slightly asymmetrical to match their mouth?
Yeah. We tried. We thought about that. So that would be interesting too. What we want is to be able to work with all the musicians, and especially we work mostly online for now. So we need to to be able to give the musician right away something, and if we need to measure his mouth, then it starts to be complicated. So for now, we really stick to it's really on the definition of the sound and the playing characteristics. So that's yeah, actually it works. It works well. The musicians are always surprised because they don't always expect to get something good right away, especially when you just write an email or answer a questionnaire. But yeah, it's interesting. Yes.
Another one. Can you talk about that ligature?
Our
we saw a
ligature.
picture, but yeah.
So we actually, if you're interested in the ligature, we have an article on the blog. So the website is scios.co, and then you find the blog on it. It's /blog, and we have an article about comparing different ligatures. For us, we just try to do as simple as possible. So we designed this ring, and it works. But the impact of the ligature for us is mostly on the position of the how it will how do you say that clamp the reed. So if you clamp it the closer to the tip, then yeah, it will change the length of the vibrating part. So that will impact a lot the sound, and especially if you clamp it closer to the tip, you will have a mouthpiece that will seem closer than the normal opening. So that's mostly the impact. Then yeah, it's also something that would need to be investigated, but yeah, we didn't work on that. But do you have a specific question on the ligature?
Well, it just looks like it just fits. So it seems like if you're playing with a thicker reed versus a thinner reed, and you know every reed's slightly different. It looks like a thicker reed is the ligature is actually going to be higher versus a thinner reed.
Yeah,
that's
actually that's the issue with that. Is that it's simple, but yeah, if you have a thicker reed, then yeah, it will not just go at the same. At the same part, so that's how I say. If you clamp it here, then yeah, the mouthpiece will feel more closed than if you clamp it at the bottom. So, but yeah, with that kind of reed, we cannot really choose the place. So, but then you can also use your own ligature if you prefer it.
That's actually what I was wondering.
Yeah.
I noticed you use the Ultimaker 3D printers, which are what I bought, but they're a reasonable consumer print, not the really expensive ones, not very cheap ones. How do you find that is good enough consistency and accuracy for you to exactly reproduce without you being able to tell the difference? If you made two on it, but meant to be the same, could you tell the difference? And how close do you need to get every time before people can see a difference?
Yeah, so actually the Ultimaker is something we put for a demo, but it's not really the one we use. But for us, yeah, the accuracy is good. Yeah, actually a lot of people ask us if we end finish the mouthpiece at the end. So we don't, because we don't want to interfere with the accuracy of the printer, because yeah, then when you do end finish, then it's complicated to measure what we have done. So we prefer to keep it like that. It works great, and the accuracy is good. Actually, musicians are really surprised, and that's also a new thing that we bring to the market, is that we are able to make several. If we put the same geometry in the printer, it will always be the same and repeatable, and the musician really feels it, and it's one of the first time, because yeah, usually in the market you have like the same model, but it doesn't really have the same sound. because actually what we do is that now we have some mouthpieces in shops for demo, and we have two offer. We have the offer I told you about, like really customized mouthpiece. But now, if you try a mouthpiece in the shop and also in our booth now, if you find one that is already a good fit for you, it doesn't matter. You don't really need to go further than that. So then you get a cheaper price, and we say, okay, we just do the same, but in another color if you prefer, because maybe you don't like the yellow. And then it's the same, and a lot of musicians are really into that, because they know that now that we found the right mouthpiece for them, if it breaks, if they lost it or lose it or something, then they will get the exact same one again, and that's a nice thing to do. Yes.
And the color spectrum, you can pick any color you want, or how does that work?
We have like 14 colors. It's really dependent on the material we are using. So actually, to get that level of precision, and we tried a lot of different printers, different materials, and then we have to find the good parameters in the printer to print it really well. But so we choose a good material, then we had to send it to the laboratory to be sure that it was good for health too. So now we choose that material, so it came with like 14 colors, and then we stick to that. But we are still investigating the new printers, the new materials. We are trying to also print metal, so it will change in the time. But yes.
So I assume you make mouthpieces for soprano, alto, tenor, baritone. Do you do like soprano bass mouthpieces?
We actually do. Yeah, we have a lot of people, and since they see that we are doing custom, so they are asking us for all kind of strange instruments. So we've already done some soprano, some bass. We've done C melody a lot, and we also did some mouthpieces for tarogato. So the instrument from Hungary. So we actually were the neighbor of Eppelstein, that is doing like the big one, and the soprano. So we were talking about making a soprano mouthpieces too. Yes.
One more quick
I can.
I
think we have the room until noon, so finish.
Do you have scientific publications on your acoustic studies as well?
On
your acoustic studies, do you have academic publications?
Yeah, so there is my thesis, the only issue that is written in French, but I have published articles in English. Usually it's complicated articles to understand, but I'm trying now when I have time, but it's not often, but to try to write it in easiest way in the blog. So we will publish some, but if you type my name, you will find some. Actually, I've written several articles, especially on the resonator of the pads in the saxophone. So I studied that also, the influence of the kind of resonator.
So I'm an engineer really, so I'm interested in the detail of that.
But I can also give you my card if you have a question, or if I can send you the articles too.
You describe it as a step-by-step process.
Yeah.
Actually, because describing your sound and what it really is, because again, very individual. So we can assume that this is really a many-step process, that you need many iterations. But then later you said it's basically one step.
Yeah, it really depends on people actually, and the more time we are working on that, the more accurate we start we are, because you know, the vocabulary the musician uses, for example, really depends on the type of music he plays, or we also ask like the mouthpiece he's currently playing, and that actually gives us a lot of information about what he likes and what he's used to. The level also, if you are a beginner or if you are a professional, you don't speak the same. So we are really getting a lot of data on the different people, and now we realize that yeah, there is some way of speaking and some vocabulary that is more used by some people and others. So we're getting better and better. So yeah, at the beginning it was like a lot of steps sometimes, not always, but yes. And now it's getting better. But yeah, it really depends on people. We have some people that are like really accurate on what they want. They give us like 5 different mouthpieces that they like or they play. So we really can know. And then we send the mouthpiece, and then they like it right away. Sometimes, yeah, it takes more time because they say, yeah, no. And usually, for professional players, we are right the first or the second time, and it's okay. Usually, it's more complicated for more beginners because, yeah, they don't really know how to describe, and yeah, sometimes we are. Sometimes we are getting confused, but because we don't interpret the word the same way. So yeah, then sometimes it's complicated. But yeah, it really depends. So most of the time it's 1, 2 most of the time, and but yeah, sometimes it can be 10 mouthpieces. So yeah, when it's 10 for us, it's really not good because yeah, we are kind of losing money, but what we offer is that we want to give you the really best mouthpiece you can get, the really good fit, so we will continue. And otherwise also, if you really don't like it, we say that, yeah, okay, we give you your money back. So we try to be cool on that. Yes.
So how much is like an alto mouthpiece?
So we actually have the same price for all the mouthpieces because what we sell really is the service we offer. It's for the full custom, it's 249 euros plus the taxes. So it depends on your country. In Europe, so it's 299. And if you're in the US, you're lucky because you don't have to pay the taxes. So yeah, it's 249. Or now we have this new offer that you can just try mouthpieces in the shops where we are sold, or at our office in Paris. And then if you find the right mouthpiece right away for you, then it's 199 with the taxes. And you can choose the color. And for the full custom mouthpieces, we also can do some like designs on the mouthpieces, so you can write your name on it. It's yeah, everything.
Your printer is a 2-color. Yeah. So.
No. We just did one, but for the moment we are sticking with just one color at each time. But yeah, also maybe someday we are still investigating a lot of different printers and way to do it. So maybe.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You have a question here?
Can I tell them? Is it okay if I tell them?
What?
I bought a mouthpiece yesterday from you guys.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was really neat about the experience was when I came to the table, they let me play the mouthpiece and listen to the sound, and I discovered some things about even my own sound. And by the time I left there, it was a really good experience. Like a lot of times, you know, the mouthpiece manufacturer would push something in front of you, say, hey, get this because it's da 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 da, but they really listened to what I needed. And I told them, like, I play avant-garde jazz, so I have to compete against, you know, the guitarist who says I can't hear myself and just cranks up his amp, right? So I said, I need something that's going to be able to project through that. I want a warm sound, I don't want it too bright. And he listened to what I said, and I played different mouthpieces, and then I found the one that was right for me. It wasn't the right color, so they're going to take care of the color for me, and they're going to ship me what I want. So it's really, it was a really good experience. If you guys get a chance to go over there, I recommend check it out.
Thank you. Yeah, you can come and try it. It's free to try anyways. But yeah, that's true what you said. What we really want is to just maybe work the invert way of the usual way, because what we want is really to listen to you, to what you need, and try to work with you on something you really like. And we don't push like saying that's the best mouthpiece ever, because we think that it's not true. There is it's all different. So and also, we don't do like copies of XVIII mouthpieces, because we also think that we can improve or we can investigate new geometries. So there is no point in copying something. If you want to totally, you just get it and okay. But if you want to work on something new and try new things, then we do that. Yes.
I just thought of one question which might be interesting for other people. So,
okay.
Just on that last point about copying mouthpieces, are you able to scan copying mouthpieces? So if someone had a mouthpiece they particularly like, as you say, if I have a range of C-style soloists, they're all actually different. If I've got one I really like, could I bring it to you and get a really close copy from you?
It depends. Normally we don't do that. We don't want to do that, and that's complicated actually, because if you really want to do the same exact copy, you need to go with scanners that cost a lot. It's like medical scans. I've tried actually at the beginning. Since everyone was asking me that, I said, okay, I will try. And I found the scan, and it's not easy, because especially the scan is doing like photos here, so then you have to reconstruct, and especially for the rays, it's complicated because you have like straight angles, and that's not doing great. Usually they are doing like circular. So if you want to do a good scan, then you have to reconstruct it, and you are not even sure that it will be the exact same. So usually what we say to the people that really want a copy is that, okay, let's talk about it and try to understand really what you want, what's your needs, and we will do something for you. And actually it's funny, because usually the mouthpiece that came after that, it's really not the same geometry than the mouthpiece that they wanted to copy, but it works too. So we do that, but now we have, since we have worked with a lot of people that wanted to copy or stuff, now we know what we can do for people. For example, we see a lot of people with who have a resonant chamber for Autolink, and they want a copy. And for example, we work with Ben Wendell, who is in love with this resonant chamber, and we find a good mouthpiece that he liked, and usually when we give something like that to other people that want a resonant chamber, they like it too. So that's more how we work. Okay. I let you go.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm one of the few jazz players here, so I was interested in your game playing.